Well, first of all, failure by itself is a big demotivator. But in many ways, fear of failure is a much greater demotivator than failure itself. Why? Because fear of failure actually paralyzes people. It just makes them immobile and inactive. They don't do anything. You see, many times, sadly, people confuse failing as failure. Now, I might have failed, but that does not mean I'm a failure. I might have been fooled, but that does not mean I'm a fool. There is a big difference, but sadly, many times when people fail, they get so disheartened, they say, I am a failure. Now, one more thing on failure side, there's a lot of truth in this saying, success breeds success and failure breeds failure. See, when a person succeeds, their self-esteem goes up. Self-esteem goes up, easy to succeed again. You succeed, self-esteem goes up. Self-esteem goes up, easy to succeed again. You succeed, self-esteem goes up. Reverse is true. We fail, self-esteem goes down. Self-esteem goes down, easy to fail again. You fail, self-esteem goes down further. And self-esteem goes down further, easy to fail again. So you find we need to break the failure chain and get into the success chain. Now, each one of us in life, the best person or the champion also, sometimes their motivation level is low. And when the champion's motivation level is low, a good coach will never put him against a star fighter. Never. A good coach will put him against a weak opponent. He beats a weak opponent, his self-esteem goes up. Self-esteem goes up, he brings a slightly stronger opponent. He beats them up, self-esteem goes up. Self-esteem goes up, they bring a slightly stronger. And gradually they build up. So this is how motivation works in life. So failure and fear of failure is another thing. Now one more thing. Failure can be a motivating factor too. Sadly, see, when a person fails, learning from past mistakes, they don't repeat them. That is a positive way of looking at a failure. Now, wise people learn from the mistakes, which means mistake from the failure. Wise people learn from the mistakes, but wiser people learn from other people's mistakes because our lives are not long enough to make all of our own mistakes. But some people never learn. And sadly, they keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in making mistakes. Now, I want to make one point. Many times I'm asked this question, Mr. Khera, tell me, a person who has been successful, have they never made a mistake? Answer is, yes, they have. And a person who has failed, have they never done anything positive in life? Of course, they have done something positive. Now, what brings success or failure? See, making a mistake once in a while does not make a person a failure. Repeating the same mistake is what brings a failure, makes a failure. And same thing, doing something positive once in a while does not make a person successful. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what that brings success. So really we need to understand it is the repetition of the positive behavior that brings success and discarding the negative behavior. Remember one thing, you want to build good health, exercising alone is not good enough. You need to stay away from junk food. Similarly, if you want to be a positive person, you need to develop an antenna to attract positive thoughts, but that's not good enough. See, negative thoughts keep coming. So what you need to do? You need to have a circuit breaker to disconnect negative thoughts. So both things have to go together. Perseverance, if there was any one quality that brings success, I would say it is perseverance. Though there's not one, it's a combination. But if ever there was one on the top, I would say perseverance. What does that mean? Success is not measured by how high you go up in life. It is measured by how many times you bounce back when you fall down. That is called success, which is called perseverance. You see, if you go check out, all success stories are stories of great failures. Show me one success story and I'll share with you the failure or the problem or the setback that they had behind, which is what they did was turn a setback into a comeback. The greatest legend in martial art was who? Bruce Lee. How many people know that Bruce Lee's one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch? Most people, I didn't know that till I wrote my book. And when I would do research, I came across 1 inch. 1 mm, 2 mm, 3 mm can disalign a person. 1 inch. And Bruce Lee's eyesight was -10. He could not see his opponent without lenses. And Bruce Lee used to practice 5,000 punches per day. And Bruce Lee said, which I quoted him in my book, You Can Achieve More, I'm not afraid of a person who knows 10,000 ways how to kick. I'm afraid of a person who knows only one way, but he's practiced that one way 10,000 times. Now, why would he practice 10,000 times? Perseverance. The guy perseveres, which really says, don't quit. Don't quit. So, really one must understand how far to go, and because that's why when, especially today's date, startup is a big word, startup. So we share with people, we tell them, look, think big but start small. Think big but start small. Why? Because when we start, invariably we are bound to make mistakes. But if you start big, you'll make a big mistake. And you will not be able to sustain and come back. If you start small, your mistake will be small. And you'll be able to handle it and then shoot big. That's the way to go. Well, I would say I would call it change course, change direction. You don't change your destination. See, I'm not able to work this way, well, go this way. I'm not able to do this way, go this way. See, but you can't keep changing your destination every time. So giving up your destination is a quitter's way. I'll quit. But supposing somebody says, I want to start up, and he runs into many setbacks or many problems and many failures, the guy quits. And he said, well, I tried, I gave it a shot, fine. Well, you see, all this was a learning period for you. Now when you've got all behind you, you packed up. And now success was only 2 feet away, 2 inches away from you, because you've done the donkey's job. This was a famous story on a guy who went into digging for a gold, into a gold mine. And he kept digging, and eventually he gave up, couldn't find. And he had borrowed money, got machineries, everything went through it. After he paid all that, he went into big debts. But the person who bought the machine back from him, he said, well, why did this guy go for a gold digging there? And he quit. He said, let me go check out. He hired a geologist and he said, check out for me. And he found that there was gold there, but because of a fault line, always there's a fault line in the earth. Because of the fault line, the gold had shifted 3 feet away. And he just dug in, and that became one of the biggest gold mines in the world. He quit only when he was 3 feet away, and he became a multimillionaire. You know something? This is the story of all people. Most people quit right at the last minute. And I'll share with you, because we do sales training. More than 80% of sales are closed after the 5th closing attempt. And more than 80% of the people quit before the 5th closing attempt. Only 20% people go to the 5th closing attempt and they end up closing 80% of the sales. How do you like that? This is true. 80% of people in most organizations account for 80% of salespeople. 20% of salespeople account for 80% of sales. Because they go that one extra mile up there, and that's it. That's really that matters. See, pressure is a matter of attitude. Stress is a matter of attitude. Is it the event that brings pressure, or is it our response to the event that brings pressure? A person is going to work, has an accident, and he's all mad, and he has a little fender bender, and he comes out shouting, oh, what a bad day, and he goes into the office and goes to bad mood, and he shouts at his secretary and shouts at everybody, I had an accident, and he shouts at everybody, and he ruins everybody's day. Now that's one accident. There's another person who's traveling, has a car topple down a couple of times. He gets out of the window and says, boy, what a lucky day. The good Lord must be riding with me. And he goes down to the office with a great mood and says, man, what a great day I have. And he goes with a different thing. Both had accidents. But this guy had a bad attitude and that guy does. So listen, keep one thing in mind. The positive stress is what makes us perform. See, an athlete at the Olympics, or anywhere for that matter, even school games, when he's ready to compete, is he under stress? Answer is yes. If he was not under stress, he could never perform. Right now, this minute, when you are questioning me, am I under stress? Answer is yes. Otherwise, I would never be able to perform. You see, at a race course, when you see the thoroughbreds, remember the thoroughbreds, horses, before they go into that window, the cabin, they're jumping, they're edgy like this. They're under heavy stress. But the moment the window opens, bang, they shoot off. They shoot. That's a thoroughbred. They perform. You take a jackass to the race course. He's not jumping at all. He's under no stress. He's going cool like this and he walks like this. No stress. But that's a jackass. And he'll remain a jackass. You know, remember one thing. Stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred. Remember, stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred. Now keep in mind, stress we can handle. Everybody can handle. But you know what we cannot handle? Is chronic stress. When stress becomes prolonged, now we break down. So we need to learn and understand to handle stress is okay. Chronic stress, continuously, we break down. That's where we want to stay away. You with me? It's not student handling parental stress. Well, maybe. See, stress is contagious. Just like positivity is contagious, you find it just travels with, it's like measles or whatever you call it. I mean, so you find, but you know, culture in any home, you talk of parent kids, many times the parents are creating a lot of stress, and because of the unnecessarily stress, the kids become edgy, and that home becomes a football ground for fighting everybody. So it's sad. Everybody's at each other's neck. That's not the way to do it. See, look, comes back to no matter what the situation is, if we handle it in a cool manner, we can all handle a lot better. You know why? Because whenever we are edgy and emotionally disturbed, what happens to our decision-making ability? Goes down. And invariably, we make the wrong decision and we compound the problem. We only compound the problem. Well, problem is there still. That doesn't change. But hang on, take it easy. Relax. Now, relaxing does not mean you're stupid. Doesn't mean you're ignoring it. See, all it says is, well, wait a minute. When you step back, we are able to look at it a little more objectively. And when we look at it objectively, we have a 360-degree approach. We're not looking at things with the blinders. With the result, our decision-making ability is a lot better. And that is really what we're talking at the end. See, I'll share with you an example. See, I share in my program that 3 things you do in life you will always end up regretting. 1, never give a reply when you are feeling sad. Never. 2, never make a promise when you're too happy. You might overpromise and not be able to deliver. And whenever you give a reply when you're feeling sad, you'll always give a wrong answer. And 3, never ever make a decision when you're angry. You'll always make the wrong. You'll regret these 3 things in life. Easier said than done. But I share with you a real example, which I bet you'll be able to relate. There are 3 characters in Hollywood, very similar, very effective. 1, Clint Eastwood. 2, Charles Bronson. 3, James Bond. You notice every movie, these 3 characters, they get beaten up every time. Every movie they get beaten up badly. But have you noticed when they get beaten up, they never ever they never get into a barking match. They never threaten and say, oh, I will kill you. They never do this. They never do all that stuff. See, they're cool. But when they have to kill, they kill. But that's a different thing. But they never threaten. Now, I analyze why do they depict these characters in this manner. You know something, every James Bond movie, right from the beginning to the end, he's always sitting on the edge. You know what edge means? He's on the hot seat. Hot seat means any split second could be life, death, life, death, life, death, life, death, any minute, second. So permanently he's on a hot seat. Now, if he's on a hot seat, and if he has a hot head, what happens to his decision-making ability? Goes down. He's emotionally disturbed, will go wrong. So hot seat means cool head. Hot seat, cool head. Hot seat, hot head, you're dead. So no wonder they're so effective. Decision-making ability. See, three things I repeat. You'll always end up regretting. One, never make a promise when you're too happy. You might overpromise, not being able to deliver. Two, never give a reply when you're feeling sad. You'll always give the wrong answer. Three, never ever make a decision when you're angry. You'll always end up making a wrong decision. And that is really what you're talking is handle stress, make the right decision. Look, there are two kinds of scenarios. One, people who are very diligent. They work hard and yet they're stressful. One, they're too careless all through the year, and I used to be one of those, by the way, and not doing the proper job when they're supposed to, and at the end of the year, now they're so stressful. What is going to happen? Well, you just invited trouble to yourself, that's all. So, and I was the second category at one time in my life. But the bottom line really is the person who's done their homework and done a good job all through the year, that stress is more psychological than anything else, and probably that stress is an attitude which this person needs a little adjustment in the attitude, thinking process. And being concerned is good, but at that last minute, nothing's going to happen. So parents ought to realize that, yeah, the kid has studied systematically well enough. Now let it be. Let it be. Whatever comes is comes. It's okay. And sadly, biggest stress comes in is people equate grade with success. See, that is a major cause of success. Well, if I don't get grades, what will happen? I won't get admission. What will happen? I won't get admission in the school. What will happen? And so on. So they are equating grade with success. And partly, one reason is the political reason here. The government of India, the education system, it's a demand and supply issue. There are less good colleges, and hence everybody is struggling for it. And second thing, the government, because of the reservation, the political reservation, a person with 33% grade gets it and the person with 98% doesn't get it. You see, these are created problems by our political system. And sadly, they ought to change. And sadly, our politicians are not willing to do it. They are perpetuating the problem and they are destroying the country. And meritocracy is gone. Your merit people, all people with merit want to get out, and that's it. So really, I mean, this lesson ought to be to our politicians. Well, in my case, probably career found me. We had coal mines that got nationalized, and I left India and went to US, initially went to Toronto, started washing cars for a year and a half, door to door with a bucket in my hand, and gradually started selling vacuum cleaners in the evening, and then got into life insurance selling totally by default. And I was almost on the verge of being fired, but at that time I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and that's where I understood that many times we are our own biggest problem, and our biggest problem is our attitude. Till then, I kept blaming the whole world for my failure, not realizing that I was my own biggest problem. Nothing changed outside, but something changed inside, and the direction changed. And that is really the key, is the attitude. But my getting into life insurance totally by default, I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So in this case, I'd say the career found me. But it was not the end. And that is where, after attending Dr. Peel's program, I saw direction, I saw life change. Till then, I had never read a book in my life. I was reading comics. And then I started reading books. I got into research, started meeting people much wiser than me. My personal, professional, social life changed. And I started moving up the ladder and hitting some big numbers. And then I said, well, maybe some people contributed to my life. Had they not shown me direction, probably today I would be washing cars. So it's time for me to put back into the system. So I started volunteering my time in jails in the US, maximum security prisons. Now, maximum security prisons are not small-time criminals. So I started teaching attitude, self-esteem programs there. And I saw life change. And then I said, makes sense. Then I took my attitude leadership programs to the corporate world. And we had other businesses, which was a pension tax consulting firm. I sold my company and moved on to this side. And God was kind, and Lufthansa was one of my first clients in the world, and we just moved on from there. And that's how it was. So look at how the life changed. Look, how do you pick up yourself from defeat? I would leave it, rather than saying from sports field. Any field is the same way. There's no difference. Because many people ask me, do you also get demotivated? I said, yes, I do. And they ask me, what do you do when you get demotivated? I said, I read my book, You Can Win. I pull up my books, You Can Achieve More. You know something? My new book, You Can Achieve More, I've given some numbers here. There was a survey conducted that 85% of millionaires and billionaires in the world today are first generation. 85% of millionaires and billionaires today in the world are first generation. Only 15% are inheritance. And they were also asked one more question. What brought you to this level of millionaire and billionaire? You know something? These people read books. And what kind of books and how many books? They said they read close to 40 to 50 books per year. Means almost one book a week. And they asked, what kind of books do you read? And the answer was, we only read self-help books. We do not read fiction. They said, well, look, why? They say fiction is fiction. Who knows what? But you see, self-help book, reading that, one good idea could be worth $1 million. One idea. How many ideas do you need to succeed in life? One. You know something? Is it a coincidence that they are successful? Is it a coincidence that they are millionaires and billionaires? No. They're doing something right. Input determines output. Remember one thing. There's a big connection between earning and learning. Earning and learning. Big connection between learning and earning. People who are looking continuous learners, they stay there. Remember one thing. Just the way our bodies need food every day, our minds need positive thoughts every day. Otherwise, we all slip back. See, if you don't eat good food, what will happen? Your body will fall sick. Means body does not need food, it needs good food. Similarly, our mind does not need thoughts, it needs positive thoughts. Otherwise, we slip back, we become mentally sick. And many times people go through a program, they get excited, charged up, motivated for a little while. Then what happens? It falls down. I said, no, wait. Are you saying how long will the motivation last? My question to you is, the food that you ate yesterday, how long did that last? The bath that you took yesterday, how long did that last? If we don't take a bath every day, we start stinking. Same thing, motivation is like fire. Unless you add fuel every day, it dies out. That's it. It's so simple. You know something? Things are simple, but people choose not to understand. I'm using the word, people choose not to understand. They choose to remain confused because they don't want to do the right thing, because it takes effort and discipline. Well, read something positive. I every night I read or I listen to some good YouTube stuff every night, almost an hour. And in the morning I wake up. I don't wake up with the news, with the murders and the kidnaps and the suicide, all those rapes and all that stuff. I just listen to something positive every morning when I wake up, and then I have a bounce in my feet. I just get up, and I'm off with a different energy. But then I look at the news, what's going on today. So you need to feed your mind with a positive every day to stay on track. Otherwise, we all slip back. We all slip back. See, our motivation mind, it's like physical muscles. You stop lifting weight, your muscles get flabby. You stop running, you lose stamina. So, same story. It is always good to ask for help. Whenever you need help, ask. The world is ready to help you. I've seen that. The world is ready to help you. Whenever you need help, ask. Period. If you are in doubt, ask. What's wrong with that? The worst thing is when you're in doubt and you don't ask and you mess up. Now you have to undo so many things. I think that is silly and foolish in my opinion. Always ask. That's a cardinal rule. Always ask.